a lot of people saying that this will relight the fire in your belly with Dillion Whyte. If anyone's going to do it, it's Dillion Whyte. Last time out, Jermaine Franklin. We know that you've gone over with Derek James. You know,
let me ask you a question. When like everyone's favourite at talkSPORT fought Otto Wallin and went 12 rounds, no one, and bust his eye open, no one complained. Andy Joshua goes 12 rounds with Jermaine Franklin. It's like, what's happened to the heavyweight division? Why is that? What is the problem with me going 12 rounds?
Does it annoy you that people say, well, Anthony Joshua, the fire seems to have left him, the fight seems to have left him?
No, it just makes me curious as to why. That's why I asked you the question. Why do you think that is? Where one does it versus another, but you can clearly see that there's two different comparisons. It makes me wonder why. But anyway, moving on. We want to address this. The answer, because I wonder, like, he went 12 rounds, had a busted eye. Whether people rated Otto Wallin is there, and whether they rate Jermaine Franklin is their opinion. But let's put them in comparison. I'm coming back. He was coming back off a layoff. I was coming back off a short layoff after a loss. I went 12 rounds. He went 12 rounds. Why? It's like, I've got to relight my fire and this, that, and the other.
Why do you think you take so much stick? Like, so, really, since the Klitschko fight, and then we move on and we go into Alexander Usyk. You have the two fights with Usyk, and then the fight with Jermaine Franklin. And people, why are they so quick to judge?
Well,
on saying, like, where's the killer instinct gone? Where's that old AJ gone? Why do they think they say that?
There's two elements of it, in my opinion. And we'll just keep it factual. One is just general haters. And the second one is people who want me to do better. And I love that. So it's what it is. But let's be clear on what it is as well. There is let's call it an attack on my name, especially on this talkSPORT radio station. Yeah, there is definitely an attack on my name. But it's fine. It's fine, you know, in this industry you have to have a thick skin. But it's good to talk about it. Like, that was just one example of many I could point out on how there's, like, parallel comparisons, but one gets dug out a lot more.
Does he have a fair argument there, Nick, or not?
I don't think so. I think he's been criticised for some of the performances he's put in, lacklustre performances, the choice of opponents. I think that's fair across the board. I think Tyson Fury, as we've just picked out in the first part of this show, has also come in for criticism. If these guys just fought the best possible opponents, then I don't think there'd be any kind of issues, but it's all politically motivated. It's generally all financially motivated. And listen, I'll be clear as day. And look at the last 10 fights of Tyson Fury and the last 10 fights of Anthony Joshua. You can't compare the levels. Anthony Joshua has fought at a much higher level, much more consistently than the best heavyweight on the planet. There's a criticism directed at Fury and celebrating Anthony Joshua. I'll give you that. But the main criticism at the moment, of course, is where does Joshua at today? Since the Usyk back-to-back defeats, where is he at right now? And those questions need to be answered against Dillion Whyte, because last time out, against a knockover opponent in Jermaine Franklin, he didn't manage to knock him over. So, listen, I like it when AJ's prickly. I like it when he's a little bit truculent with the media, because it means that nasty streak is coming back. But whether he can produce it inside the ring, well, we're going to have to wait and find out on August the 12th.
Well, he's a very different fighter now to when these two last met. They were kind of raw, inexperienced novices in some ways who knocked lumps out of each other in a bloodfest over 7 rounds, 7.5 years ago. They're kind of prize fighters now, aren't they? They're money weights. Neither of them has got the world title. They both lost 3 fights. They're older and wiser. And I think they were very different this week. I think there wasn't a nastiness about Joshua saying that people have been critical of him. And my argument is we kind of expect so much from him. We expect so much from all of them. And that's what we're talking to. Like the things you're saying, the things I'm saying now. We expect so much of them in a world that is heavily critical of every move now. Where, you know, citizen journalism, where everybody publishes their view everywhere. This wasn't always out there. When 7 years ago, that wasn't out there. And people are fully entitled to their views on things. People are paying their money as fans to make these guys wealthy outside the deals that are struck with TV companies and so on. But I think what I liked about Anthony Joshua this week was And I made him my fighter of the week on William Hill this week because I love the fact he's stepping up to fight Dillion Whyte when there's the jeopardy of him losing out on what we're told could be a $60 million fight for him with Deontay Wilder. I asked Eddie Hearn, or Eddie Hearn confirmed that Saudi will pull the Wilder fight if AJ loses. Here's Eddie with Spencer Oliver. Absolutely right, of course, because it doesn't work. People were saying win, lose or draw, Nick, that Anthony Joshua, AJ would get the fight with Wilder. That doesn't work, no. You know? It's a bit like if Fury loses to Ngannou, they've got a problem on their hands. Even though he's going to be able to defend the WBC title next, he might have to rematch Ngannou to prove something. It's the way fights work, isn't it? It's the rhythm of things. Is it unfair on Dillion Whyte that he doesn't get to step into that breach automatically against Deontay Wilder, a guy he pursued for years as part mandatory challenger, a fight he wanted? Why Wilder took it, I don't know. I don't know at the time why Wilder never fought him. But is it unfair on Dillion Whyte in your view?
It is unfair on Dillion Whyte, but you know the best way to force that conversation is by obliterating Anthony Joshua. Yeah. And then you can sing from the heavens and you can make as much noise as possible. And I truly believe if Anthony Joshua gets stopped by Dillion Whyte, that's probably the end of Anthony Joshua. And that's no criticism of AJ whatsoever. I just think psychologically, that kind of a blow would set him back too far. I think this fight is happening because AJ wants it to happen. AJ Correct. Always wanted to fight Dillion Whyte in the build-up to a big showdown with Deontay Wilder, because that's the huge gamble, is Deontay Wilder getting him. Has AJ got the skills to avoid the big punches, to take him apart? And if you can't do that to Dillion Whyte, then you certainly can't do it to Deontay Wilder. So that's why the Dillion Whyte fight is happening, because and there's no rematch clause, and that's because AJ's like, well, listen, if I can't beat Dillion Whyte, then I don't want to go forward and fight Deontay Wilder. So let's just fight Whyte. Let's have a big show at the O2. Let me show you what I've been learning in Dallas. I've added strings to me both. Come on again since Jermaine Franklin. I'm ready to, if not pull the trigger, put on a bit of a boxing masterclass and make a statement that will remind the people where I am in the standings, but also for his own confidence go, right, okay, I've just dealt with Dillion Whyte. That's a fight that brings needle. He's an opponent that comes to win every single time. Now I'm ready for Deontay Wilder. Let's get these negotiations going.
Yeah, very smart move from him, I think, psychologically. And going, Eddie Hearn's admitted it. He didn't really want him to fight Dillion Whyte. 258 management didn't really want him to fight Dillion Whyte. Risky fight for him, but that's why you have to applaud him. There's jeopardy there, like there is with Alexander Usyk fighting Daniel Dubois, even though he's a 12-1. I think it's 12-1 on to win that fight, Usyk.
This is a better fight than that, though. This is, in my opinion,
this is a better fight.
Out of the three heavyweight fights that have been made, and you know, I use that term loosely a little bit with Fury, but out of the three fights that have been made in this heavyweight division, head and shoulders, the closest, the nearest to a 50-50 is absolutely AJ versus Dillion Whyte Part 2.
Yeah, well, let's listen to Dillion Whyte. He expects fireworks on August the 12th. Here's what he had to tell us.
I'm pretty calm, you know. I feel relaxed. I feel good. I don't feel any animosity towards him. Sorry.
I mean, you both got a lot of history together. Goes back to 2009 when you beat him in the amateurs.
Yeah.
Fast forward 2015, you had a proper ding dong. Joshua eventually won that fight. Yes. I know you've been chasing this fight since then, haven't you?
Yeah. We've been trying to get it on because it was only right. You know, when I was on my winning streak, we should have fought then. You know, a couple of times. There was talks of the fight, and then after it didn't happen, so, you know.
I mean, fast forward 7 years now since your last fight, 7-8 years since your last fight.
Yeah.
You're both more experienced. You know, you both got 3 losses now, each on your record. You've both been through it, so you've tasted defeat. You know what you're both going into. What can we see different this time to what we saw in the last fight?
I think that, you know, it may just erupt in the first round. I may be a bit more cautious approach from both of us. But it's going to be one hell of a fight. It won't take us long to get into it. You know, we might just pick up from round 7 onwards.
Such an important fight for Dillion Whyte. So much for him to gain. And the thing is with him, if he loses or how he loses, he can still come back and have more fights because that's his personality now. He's just a warrior in the heavyweight division who'll fight anyone if the fights are there for him. I think they did so well to force this fight. And as I say, I applaud AJ again for taking it. I still see AJ as the favourite, Nick. But again, it's a fight we're looking forward to seeing on August the 12th. Of course, it's live on talkSPORT. We'll be doing all the build-up into that. You're listening to Fight Night Extra. All right, before we go, actually, who wins that fight for you?
Listen, I think AJ's taking this fight for a reason. He believes he's got the ability to get past Dillion Whyte at this stage in his career and move forward to Deontay Wilder. I like that bit of confidence. Dillion hasn't chosen AJ. Dillion did everything he could to be the guy standing saying, AJ, pick me. And AJ has picked him. That's fantastic. For Dillion, who's 36 years old, he's the oldest out of all of these heavyweights. I feel like it's a must-win situation. Otherwise, he's 2 or 3 fights away. And for AJ, I feel like it's a must-win situation because I honestly think he's got generational wealth that he'll go, you know what, if I can't beat Dillion right now, I don't want to move on and fight those guys anyway. See you later. Thanks, boxing. My legacy is guaranteed. So that's why there's a lot of jeopardy here. But I'm going to edge towards AJ. But you know what, Gareth, I wouldn't put a lot of money on it. No,
exactly. I agree with you. I edge towards AJ as well. I don't think this fight's going 12 rounds either. Someone's going down. They might both go down in this fight. It might be an absolute classic. Talking to AJ on Monday, being around him a lot, obviously he's not contemplating defeat, but he's really rebuilding himself genuinely and loving being a student of the game still. I just don't think his appetite is to leave the sport. It's going to be fascinating. People change.
He's only, what is he, 34?
34 later in the year. Yeah.
There you go. You know, and most heavyweights don't peak till they're 36, 37, 38. So he has got time on his side. And what I like about AJ is it's a sport to him. It's not as be all and end all. He doesn't profess it to be. It's a sport.